Today we are going to discuss about a very important chapter in your biology, that is human digestive system. As you can see on your screen, now a plant is there and a rabbit who is happily eating the carrot which is prepared from plant. Since you have already studied that plant can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and the, now and organisms which can prepare their own food are known as autotrophs. Okay, and heterotrophs like us or the animals, they are the organisms which cannot make their own food and rely on autotrophs or plant. Clear? Now imagine, what's the need of rabbit eating carrot? Or in other word we say, what's the need of food to our body? It's very simple. We need food for energy. We need food for recovering ourselves from injury. We need food from protecting our body from different types of diseases. This is the need. Then it must be coming into your mind, then what is there in the food? So we will discuss this in our next slide. So a food contains nutrition. It means that nutrients and other substances in food which help us to maintain our growth, reproduction, health and diseases of an organism. Clear? Now it must be coming that what are nutrients? So we will discuss this in our next slide. Generally, nutrients are of 5 types, as you can see on your screen, which you have already studied as well. Carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, you have already known that it is an energy giving food. And the sources, as you can see on your screen: sugar, cereals, banana, apple, potato, pea, beans, green vegetables, dry fruits, and so on. Now fat. Fat is also energy rich foods and it produces more energy than carbohydrate. And the sources are butter, ghee, vegetable oils, fish, liver oil and animal fats. How about protein? Protein is a bodybuilding food and it is very essential in our body. Now remember that protein is not very easily diluted in water form. Alright, and the sources of protein are milk, curd, paneer, meat, nuts, pulses and etc. Now about the vitamin. Vitamin are the protective food and you can find these vitamins in various sources like soya milk, watermelon, yogurt, fish, grains, mushrooms, chicken. Over there you can find vitamins. And minerals are also equally very important in our body, and the sources are meat, cereals, fish, dairy products, fruits and vegetables. Now in that, carbohydrate, fat and protein, these 3 are required more in our body, and that is why they are known as macronutrient. Now vitamin and minerals, they they are required less in quantity as compared to the macronutrients, so they are known as micronutrients. Clear? Now we are going to discuss about the 5 steps involved in the process of nutrition in our body. Now the first step is ingestion. Ingestion means intake of food. Then the second step comes the digestion. After the ingestion, digestion occurs in our body, in which the complex substances are break into a small soluble substances. Now the digestion starts from the mouth and it's end in the intestine. In that, whatever nutrients are there which you take in the food is being break down into a simpler form. For example, protein is break down into amino acid. Amino acid is nothing just a building blocks of protein, as we have already discussed that protein is insoluble in water and we are not having any mechanical mechanism. We are having muscular mechanism, so it takes protein takes time to be digested. Now about the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is break down into starch and glucose. Now these starch and glucose. Now glucose gives us the energy, and the same with the fats break down into fatty acids and glycerols. Now as the food is being completely digested, now comes the absorption part. Now here the absorption of nutrient from the food by the blood vessels, and these blood vessels are there in the intestinal wall. After the absorption is over, assimilation comes. Assimilation means the transporting of nutrients and water to all part of body cells by blood vessels. Egestion or defecation is nothing just the semi-solid which our body feels that it is it does we do, from that undigested food which do not carry these essential nutrients which our body require, they are in the form of waste. So it is releasing out the waste food from our body. This is egestion. It's a overview of human digestive system, which starts from mouth or oral cavity, then tongue, then parotid gland, sublingual gland, submandibular gland. They comes under salivary gland, then pharynx, then esophagus, stomach, pancreas, spleen, then liver, gallbladder. Small intestine contains duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Then large intestine contains transverse colon, descending colon, ascending colon, cecum, sigmoid colon, rectum, appendix, and anal canal, and anus. Now, as you can see on your screen, is the alimentary canal, and the alimentary canal is almost 9 meters long, coiled food tube, open at both ends. As you can see that it begins with mouth and ends with anus. Now here it is divided into buccal cavity or mouth cavity, then it is having esophagus or food pipe, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. And the appendix which you are seeing is a vestigial part which does not have any function in the body. So sometimes doctors try to operate this and take it out from the body. Clear? We are going to discuss about glands and types. Now, glands in the body releases fluid or hormones that play a vital role in maintaining one's health. So, from this you can understand how important a gland is in our plays a vital role in our alimentary canal. Now here it contains a digestive glands which includes salivary glands, liver and pancreas. And we will discuss these more in detail. Now apart from digestive gland, we are going to discuss about endocrine gland and sweat gland. Now, it is not the only gland which is present in our body. There are numerous other glands as well. For example, exocrine gland or thyroid gland. So, now here we are going to focus on endocrine gland and sweat gland. Now, endocrine gland is basically a ductless gland. Now, here ductless means directly it going into the bloodstream in our body. It is widely distributed throughout the body and it secretes hormones. And why to secrete hormones? To give us functioning and the growth of the body. Clear? Now about the sweat glands. The sweating is one of the most visible psychological event we experience every day, especially when the temperature is too hot or if we are doing any heavy exercises. Almost 1.6 to 4 million of sweat glands are present on our body, just under our skin. And its major function is to regulate the body temperature. It also helps us from the heat stroke, hypothermia or heat exhaustions. Because if these things will happen, definitely we will lead to death. Clear? As you can see on your screen, the alimentary canals include mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus, as you can see the diagram which is next to it. So this is the way how the alimentary canal is organized in our body, and the working of alimentary canals are step by step. Now let's start with the first alimentary canal, that is mouth or oral cavity. We say it as buccal cavity as well. Now, as you can see, it is the foremost organ of alimentary canal, and we ingest food with the help of mouth only. Now, digestion is the second step of nutrition, which begins in the mouth itself. As you can see, your mouth is having a pair of lips, pair of jaws, and the structure including teeth, tongue and salivary gland. Now, salivary gland secretes or release or contains saliva, and this saliva makes the tongue moist and lubricates the food, which help us to chew and swallow. And these saliva contains the enzymes which we say it as salivary amylase. Now, enzymes are nothing, it is just made up of protein that speed up chemical reactions that are occurring within the body. As we have already discussed, the three types of glands, of salivary glands, are present in our buccal cavity, that is parotid gland, sublingual gland, submandibular gland, and the positions which are there, you can easily allocate the names of that particular gland. Now, in the buccal or mouth cavity, we will going to discuss about the teeth. As you all know that teeth are the hardest non-bony structure which is present in our mouth. Now all the mechanical breakdown of food, that is by cutting or crushing them, is in preparation for swallowing and digestion. A human consists of four types of teeth, that is incisor, canines, premolars and molars, and each of them is having a unique function. Let us start with incisors. They are generally flat surface at the front and which helps in biting and cutting food. Four on the lower jaw and four on the upper. Total it is 8. Now canines. They are sharp and pointed just next to the incisor and they help in tearing the food. 2 are present in the upper jaw and 2 are present in the lower jaw. Total of 4. Now about premolar. They are broad and have almost a flat surface with small ridges. And they help in crushing and grinding the food. 4 in the upper and 4 in the lower jaw. Total of 8. Now about molar. They are broad and they are almost flat surface and they also help in crushing and grinding the food. Now 6 on the lower, dividing 3 in the left and right side of the jaw, of the upper jaw, and 3 and 3 on the lower jaw. Total of 12. Now if you try to total them, it comes 32. So which means that an adult has 32 teeth in his or her mouth. Now let's understand the difference between milk teeth or deciduous or temporary teeth versus permanent teeth. Now milk teeth start growing after 6 months of birth and appears in between 6 to 2 years. Permanent teeth begins to replace milk teeth in the 6th year of age and usually completes by 24 year. They are smaller, weaker and temporary. They are stronger and permanent. Now, since they are permanent means that if they fall off, they cannot be replaced. As the example is your grandfather, or if you made an accident in this age, your current age, surely you won't be getting it, won't, the teeth will not grow permanent teeth. Now the three types are incisor, canine and molars. 8 incisors, 4 canines and 8 molars. Total it makes 20 in number, which means 12 in each upper and lower jaws. Now here 4 types you will be finding in permanent teeth, which contains all the 4 types, that is incisor, canine, premolars and molars. 8 incisors, 4 canine, 8 premolars and 12 molars. Total of 32, 16 each in upper and lower jaws. Alright. So from this you can figure out that milk teeth do not contain any premolar. Alright. And milk teeth are more white in nature and permanent teeth are generally a little yellowish in color. Now we are going to discuss about tongue. We have all noticed that it's a muscular organ that is attached at one end and free from the other end, that is on the front end, and that is attached to the floor of the mouth, isn't it? Now, the tongue carries the taste buds which identify sweet, salt, sour, and bitter. And this bitter is at the last, at the base, and at the front it is sweet. Now, sweet, there are so many examples which you can figure out that they are sweet in nature, like sugar. Salt also is very easy. Now comes about the sour. Now, milk, yogurt, lemon, pickles, they all are sour in taste. Now about the bitter taste, you can have you must have a cabbage, radish, coffee, green tea. They all are bitter in taste. Now about the function of the tongue. The tongue plays an important part in mastication, that is chewing. Now here it mixes with the saliva, with the food during chewing. Swallowing, here it helps the food to swallow it. It gives direction, and it also press backward the food which is being chewed in your mouth with the help of teeth. Tongue also help in our speech, and it also helps to give us taste. Clear? Now we are going to discuss about the salivary gland. We have already discussed in brief about it. Let's understand more in detail. Now here's our mouth cavity receive secretion from salivary gland. There are three pairs of salivary gland. They are the parotid glands, submandibular glands, and sublingual glands. Now here the marking first is parotid gland, marking second is submandibular gland, and marking 3 is the sublingual gland. Clear? Now on the next of the picture you can see a man is sprinkling water, and the person who is sliding can slide more easily and comfortably. So saliva also acts the same way. It gives extra lubricant to the food so that it can easily passes from the esophagus to the stomach. Clear? Now we are going to discuss about the function of saliva. The saliva contains an enzyme, salivary enzyme known as amylase. Now this amylase try to break down starch into simple sugar as maltose. Now as I have already discussed about protein, that proteins break down into amino acid, building blocks of amino acid. The same way, some carbohydrate is not easily can be broken down, so they are being divided into cluster form, that we say it as maltose. The saliva helps in moistening the food. It tries to moist the food, and it lubricates food particles so that we can easily swallow it. Now the example, the picture which I showed you on that a man is sprinkling water, and the person can very easily can passes through. So saliva acts this way. The saliva serves as a solvent for some substance which stimulate the taste bud. Now saliva helps the tongue as well, and these tongue carrying the taste, different types of taste buds such as sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. It helps them to judge what type of food we are taking in. It also helps us to speak, to making the giving extra lubrication to our lips and tongue. It keeps the mouth cavity and teeth clean by destroying germs. So this saliva is also helpful for us, so to destroy or to prevent any dental decay inside our mouth. Clear? Now we are going to discuss about esophagus, the food pipe. It is generally 25 centimeter long muscular tube through which food passes with a peristaltic movement of muscular wall, and here no digestion occurs. As you can see in the diagram where the arrows are there, the muscles are contracting, and where the food is from where the food is passing, it is relaxing, or uh, it is expanding. Now this type of movement is very important in our body. Now one example if I give you, it will justify how important this peristalsis is in our body. Suppose you are eating a food. Now if this peristaltic movement won't exist in the esophagus, then when you are sitting, or when you are lying yourself in bed and eating something, you could never, a food can reach from mouth to the stomach. So for that you need, if peristaltic movement won't be there, so you have to be all the time in a straight position only to intake the food from mouth, and it will drop into the stomach. So now you can very easily figure out how important this peristalsis movement is. Even you are lying on bed, and if you try to eat something, the food can easily pass to the stomach because of this only. Clear? Now we are going to discuss one of the most important part in human digestive system, that is stomach. Its shape is J-shaped. It is a muscular elastic bag which is having a thick wall, and it is one of the widest part of alimentary canal that connects from one end esophagus, as you can see, and from the another end, after duodenum, it is connecting. Duodenum is a part of a intestine, so it is connecting small intestine from other end. Now as you can see that it contains the sphincters. Now, sphincters are a ring or a circular muscle fibers around an opening. Now here two sphincters you can see, that is lower esophageal sphincter or cardiac sphincter or pyloric sphincters. The cardiac sphincter or lower esophagus sphincters, it try to allow food into the stomach from the esophagus to the stomach, and keep acid from entering the esophagus. Now here it keeps acid. What type of acid you will find in stomach? That is HCl. Clear? And now pyloric sphincters, it try to regulate and release the amount of food entering the small intestine. Here it acts like a regulator. As you have your mother is using every day the gas stove, over there a regulator is there from where it can increase and it can be slowed, or it can be turned off as well. So it acts the same way. How a digestion take place inside the stomach? Now the food which is swallowed passes down from the esophagus to the stomach. And here the stomach contains a gastric acid that turns the food to digest it properly, and then the semi-liquid mixture of partially digested food and enzymes in the stomach, that we say it as chyme. This chyme enters into the duodenum, means a part of duodenum is a part of small intestine. A small intestine contains duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Now we are going to discuss more in detail what happens inside the stomach, what we eat as a food. Now the gastric juices contains enzymes, hydrochloric acid and mucus. The enzymes are of two types, and as I have already discussed that enzymes are made up of proteins and they accelerate the chemical reaction which is occurring within the body. Now the enzymes, gastric juices contains two types of enzyme, that is pepsin and rennin. Here pepsin, it breaks down protein into smaller components or in smaller form, that is proteases and peptones. Clear? And the rennin, it is basically is in the child because the child try to feed more on milk. So the casein, with the help of this rennin enzyme, makes pancreas, which is curd like in appearance. Sometimes when a small child vomit, you can see that the curd is coming out from its from the mouth. All right. Now hydrochloric acid, it is very dangerous acid as it kills the harmful bacteria. And what it do, the next advantage to have HCl in our body is that it makes the food more acidic, because it involves with the chyme and it makes the food acidic so that the enzymes can act more on it. Then you are having mucus. A mucus is it protects the lining of stomach from the digestive juices. Now about the function of stomach. As the stomach is basically stores food for 4 to 5 hours. It can also store 4 to 5 hours, and it can also store almost 2 liters of food. The secretion of gastric juices to add in the digestion of protein. Here protein, as I have already discussed, that it is very difficult to make it soluble, so it try to digestion here is basically focused on more on the protein part, because here protein will be difficult to be broken in the other other digestive part. So here the protein breakdown is very important, that takes place in the stomach only. Here it secrete HCl to make food acidic for the action of enzyme, what I have already discussed. Now here the food movement is also having a peristalsis movement. Even you are lying on bed or even you are walking, still the digestion process is going on. Now here during the contraction, it try to push the food forward, and this is the whole mechanism and the chemical digestion inside the stomach. On your screen you can see the structure of a small intestine. Now small intestine is almost 6 meters, or 20 feet, which is having 2.5 centimeter or 1 inch of diameter, and it contains three parts as you can see on your screen, that is duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Here the ileum is at the last, and which connects with the large intestine. Now here you must be thinking that here the coiled shape is more uh, more in length as compared to the large intestine, because here large intestine basically is around 1.5 meter, or we can say 6 feet only, but the name is given because of their diameter. So here the large intestine is having 2.5 inches or 6 centimeter in diameter. That is why it is known as large intestine. Now on duodenum is basically as you can see that it is making a C. Alright, so it's a C-shaped part of intestine. Now here after duodenum, jejunum is connected, and after jejunum, ileum is connected. Here as you can see on your screen, a little more closer view that will help you to understand. Now once the food in the form of chyme, a chyme is here the food is being churned into fine pulps, and with the help of HCl it becomes acidic so that the enzymes can work more on it. It passes to the duodenum. Now here the moment it passes into the duodenum, you can see on the right side of stomach it is having a liver, which is the largest gland, and it is basically reddish brown in color and weighs around 1.5 kg. Now and at the below you can see pancreas is there, which is a pink color leaf shaped gland. That is basically you can see that a little twist is there. It is looking like a U shaped loop of duodenum. Here now these two, the liver and pancreas, releases the juices, and these liver releases bile juice, and that is stored in gallbladder as you can see, and from pancreas it releases pancreatic juice into it, and the intestinal juice is also present. So all these three juices are mixed into that acidic chyme. Now all these juices will definitely will break the food into more simpler form. Clear? We will discuss it in the next slide. We are going to discuss about the secretion from liver and pancreas. Now here the secretion of liver is basically done by the bile juices. Alright, now here since the food the chyme, acidic chyme is acidic in nature. Now here when this bile juice is provided by the liver to the while passing through the duodenum. Now here the bile juices contains the bile salt, which break down the large fat globules into smaller pieces or droplets. Clear? And this we say it as emulsification. Now On pancreas, now here pancreas create pancreatic juice. They secrete secretion from pancreas is pancreatic juice. And now here the digestive enzymes of pancreatic juices are the first is trypsin. Now since now here the protein, it breaks the protein more into simpler form, and you have already studied that the gastric juices, in that the enzymes which is present in your stomach, that is a pepsin. A pepsin try to break protein into peptones and proteoses. Now it peptiosis and peptones are further it is breakdown in with the help of trypsin. Now it try to break down and make it in peptides and amino acid. And now here pancreatic amylase. Now the most of the this starch is already breakdown with the saliva, and it turns into maltose. The remaining starch which is there, which reached to the duodenum, is being break down by the pancreatic amylase and turns into maltose. Now pancreatic lipase. Here lipase is a fat digesting enzymes. Clear? Now it try to break down fats into fatty acids and glycerols. Now the secretion from small intestine, we have already discussed about the bile juice and about the pancreatic juice. Now here we are going to discuss the third, that is intestinal juice. Now since the protein, we have already discussed that protein is a little more hard to break down in our body. So we have in the stomach also, the enzyme pepsin break down protein into smaller components like proteoses and peptones. Then come on the pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice also try to further divide these peptides and peptones into amino acid. Now whatever part is now these peptides and peptones, with the help of this intestinal juice which contains the erepsin enzyme, it also try to break down this and make it in amino acid in our body. Now about the lipase. Lipase, you have already know that it is a fat digesting enzymes. And here emulsified fats. Now these emulsified fats come from the bile juice only. The big large fat globulus is being break down into smaller ones. Now here when the smaller ones are with the help of this lipase breaks down fatty acids and glycerols in our body. Now about maltase. Here it breaks down into glucose with the help of maltose breakdowns into glucose with the help of maltase. Now sucrase. Now here sucrase and lactase we have to discuss more in detail. Here sucrase is you get from the sweet fruits and vegetables, example apples or sugar cane. Now from there you get it. So sucrase is the enzyme which acts on sucrose to divide further into glucose and fructose, and they are the simple fructose, or you can say that glucose or lactose. They are the simple sugar form. Now here the milk also is sweet in taste, so this lactose is converted into glucose and galactose, and with the help of lactase it is been break down. Sorry. So this is the way how the secretion is taking place in small intestine. Once the digestion part is over, it is the which means that now the whatever food you intake is your body takes complete nutrients from it. After that the absorption phase come. Now here the small intestine is, as you can see on your screen, the inner wall of small intestine has millions of minute finger-like projections. As you can see, they are called villi, and in a singular way it is a villus. Now here villi is a very thin wall which try to increase the surface area of absorption in the intestine. Now, each villus is supplied with very fine blood vessels called capillaries, and the villi absorb the digested or soluble food through their wall and passes to the blood capillaries from their various parts of the body for utilization or for storage. And with the after absorbing, try to release the undigested food to large intestine. Clear? As you can see on your screen, a diagram of large intestine, and you know that it lies in between the abdominal and the pelvic cavity of the body. Now, to start with the cecum, it is a small pouch and it acts like a junction between small and large intestine. Now this cecum and appendix. Now appendix is a vermiform appendix which arises from cecum, as you can see on your screen. Now this cecum is a site of cellulose digestion in grass eating mammals, but in man or in the human, it does not have any function, and that is why it is known as vestigial organ, because its function, it does not have bacteria which releases cellulose digestive enzymes in human, so it does not have any function and we say it as vestigial organ. Now you can see that you are having a colon that is divided into ascending and then transverse and then descending and then sigmoid. It is been given name with the direction. All right. Now we will discuss the function of large intestine. First is absorption of water and salt from the food. Secondly, it converts undigested food into feces or stool. And the third, it expels feces to anus, known as egestion or defecation. These are the three basic functions of large intestine. Once the food components which are absorbed into the blood through villi are carried to all body parts through the circulatory system. Now here the three main are being taken, that is glucose, amino acid and fatty acids and glycerols. Here glucose is used, it is being first transported to the liver to store as glycogen. Now here this glycogen, whenever your body will require, it will break into glucose, all right, and can reach and can enter through blood and to reach the body cell. Now another thing, it's a source of energy, and this glucose is used during respiration, all right, to release energy, and that is why it is said as the source of energy. Now amino acid, we have already discussed, building block of protein, and protein you all know that it is a body building nutrient, and this It helps in forming new tissues and repair of the damaged ones. Here fatty acids and glycerols, they are utilized for synthesizing of certain compounds, and it also try to deposit on fat below the skin or around the visceral organs. Now here visceral organs can be heart, lungs, intestine or pancreas. Here whatever we have discussed till now is in a summary form. It will be helpful for you to have a revision what we have discussed till now. Now the mouth contains salivary gland. Now salivary gland is secretes saliva and it has a salivary amylase. Now here starch with the help of salivary amylase converts into maltose. And stomach contains stomach cell, liver and pancreas. Now stomach cell secretes digestive juice. It contains pepsin and renin. Now here protein with the help of pepsin enzyme breaks proteoses and peptones. Now casein with the help of renin enzyme breaks into paracasein, that is curd like structure. Now about liver. Now here liver secretes bile juice. It does not have any enzymes. Now here fat with the help of bile juice breaks down into emulsified fat, means big globulus into smaller globulus. All right. Now the pancreas contains pancreatic juice, and the enzymes which are present in pancreas, they are trypsins, amylase, lipase and erepsin. Trypsin, amylase and lipase. All right. Now protein with the help of trypsin converts into breakdown into proteoses, peptones and amino acid. Now starch with the help of amylase enzyme, pancreatic amylase enzyme, it turns into a breakdowns into maltose, and the fat with the help of lipase enzyme breaks into fatty acids and glycerols. Now about the small intestine, it contains erepsins, and that peptides and peptones with the help of erepsin enzymes converts into amino acid. Now intestinal cell contains secrete intestinal juice, and these intestinal juice it also contains enzymes, that is maltase, sucrase, lactase and lipase. Now here maltose breaks with the help of maltase enzyme breaks into glucose. Sucrose with the help of sucrase enzyme breaks into glucose and fructose. Lactose with the help of lactase enzyme breaks into glucose and galactose. And emulsified fat with the help of lipase breaks down into fatty acids and glycerols. And with this your chapter is over. I hope whatever we have discussed must clear your concept about human digestive system. Thank you for watching it. Thank you.